going on YouTube? My name is FG3000. I'm back in the place to be, and welcome back to Dungeon Survival as we continue our journey here in 2020, revisiting past titles just to kind of see what they're up to. Today that journey brings us back to Dungeon Survival, so let's go ahead and get it on. Now if you don't know what this game is, allow me to break it down into like a tidy little dungeon here for you, alright? Basically, Dungeon Survival is the darkest dungeon for Android users. Now if you're an iOS user, you ain't got to worry about that because you can play the OG Darkest Dungeon. Heck, you can even play this game. You got options. But us Android users, we never, for whatever reason, got Darkest Dungeon on Android. So this is our best alternative. Luckily for us, it's actually a pretty competent experience. So let's go ahead and jump on in. Just in case you have never heard of Darkest Dungeon on PC, I think the very best way to kind of display this gameplay loop is to take you on a live gameplay session. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, normally what I would do, I would start in the mercenary post to recruit some new heroes for my party, because in this game, all the damage that you get inside of a dungeon, including death, persists outside of the dungeon. So you're constantly going to be switching in, recruiting in, resting units in order to try to get into the deepest parts of the dungeon as you possibly can. But looking right now, there's nobody in the mercenary post that I really care about. This will reset on a timer. Of course, you can also use gold to refresh it. I ain't gonna use my gold for that. So that's that. If we go over here in the inn, you can kind of see all of my past units over here trying to rest, get their HP back. As you guys can see, the tavern replenishes 10% HP, 18% here, and then 24% in the bedroom, because of course it does. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and put Pretender James in here. As you guys can see, he has 10 HP left, 1 HP left on my stalker here. Let's get both of you guys in there. And it does take gold to put them in here. So you only want to really, how should I put this? You really only want to triage the characters that you really care about. If it's a bad character with bad stats and bad RNG and doesn't really have a lot of skill books, you might just want to let them die, because gold here is definitely a currency that does not grow on trees. So you don't want to just willy-nilly try to keep everyone alive, because it's not worth it in the long run. So we're gonna do that for now, just to kind of display how that system works. Let's go ahead and embark on a journey here. Now I kind of want to go. We're gonna go to, that's probably gonna be too hard. Let's go to Lab Zone 3 here, all right? So we're gonna go ahead and set up our team. We're gonna go ahead and use, actually, we're gonna do this out of order, but you know what? It's okay. So we're gonna go back to the home screen here. I wanna go ahead and auto-equip a helmet. That's all, that's gonna make all the difference. Now that he has that helmet, we are good to go, ladies and gentlemen. I thought I had more gear, but that's okay. So he's gonna be our main tank. I'm actually gonna go double tank on this one. So we're gonna go main tank. He's up front because he can only hit units that are directly in front of him. I'm gonna go ahead and use my Lance Warrior here as well. Since he uses a Lance, he can hit the first 2 units. I'm gonna go ahead and bring a healer. And then I think, no, you're still too hurt. I think, man. I need you out of there. I need you out of there. Let's go back to the inn really quick, because we need to get you into the party. All right, now we're good. We got our helmet and we have a full party here. So tank, off tank, we have heals, and then we have some ranged DPS. All right, let us embark in the dungeon. Finally, FG. I know, man, there was a lot of things I had to worry about there. All right, so here we are inside the game. Now, all of you Darkest Dungeon fans know this game looks very familiar. No bones about it. This game 100% said, you know what? We're copying Darkest Dungeon all the way down to like the animation effects, the zoom ins, the slowdowns. All of that stuff is definitely recreated here in the world of Dungeon Survival. But you know what? Like I said, I'm actually totally fine with it, due to the fact that we didn't have the option to play their real Darkest Dungeon on Android. So I'm glad we at least get a chance to kind of experience a Darkest Dungeon-like experience at least. So that's that. One interesting thing about this game though, let's go ahead and get you back up at the front. As you guys know, where you're placed in your party has a lot to do with who you can hit, and the enemy will constantly be bouncing you around in your party and not like that guy right there. hit me in the face with a freaking mallet, knocked me all the way back into the 3rd position, which is super annoying. So sometimes you're going to have to constantly waste turns on some of your strongest characters in order to move them around. I thought you could only hit in the front. You can actually hit in number 1 or number 2. Good to know. Good to know. All right, so I always, like right now, there's like some rotting corpse on the ground, and I have the option to eat this to regain HP. I'm gonna. Let's see what happens. Poison. Of course poison happened, but I did still regain HP, so we're good there. There's going to be a lot of things that you can interact with in these dungeons that are gonna have, they're usually gonna have a positive and a negative effect. Sometimes it's just negative, sometimes it is positive, but for the most part, you just never know. It's all RNG. So let's go ahead and heal up. Do a little bit of damage here, just some melee attacks. We're gonna save some of our big cooldown abilities for like some really, like, you know, some harder encounters. Right now, these should be fine. We shouldn't have too much problem going through these. So down they go. Now, when it comes to this game itself, for the lack of a better word, this game is basically feature complete at this point. So this game is done. So this game, of course, started off as a game as a service. Throughout the year, this game has been updated with, you know, lots of streamlining, quality of life, bug fixes. They've added things like ×2 speed and autoplay and things of that nature. New character classes, all that have been added throughout the year. But now this game is feature complete. It's done. Nothing else is going to be added to this game, and the developers have moved on to working on the sequel. So they're working on a Dungeon Survival Part 2, which I find very curious. I find that extremely curious because this game, like I said, was completely like lifted from Darkest Dungeon. Like everything about this game, minus the insanity system, which thankfully they didn't copy, but everything about this game was taken from Darkest Dungeon. The art style, the gameplay, everything was taken from Darkest Dungeon. So this game is going to make a sequel without having the source material this time, which is going to be very interesting, I think. Now, Darkest Dungeon has announced that they are working on a part 2 to Darkest Dungeon, so I don't know which one's going to come out first, but it's going to be very interesting to see what this game does without being able to copy another game. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be kind of interesting. So very curious to see what happens here when they release Dungeon Survival Part 2. And then I'm very curious to see what Darkest Dungeon Part 2 looks like, to see what they actually did here. Now, this is not good for me. This is not good. Let me get that book, though. You see this big boss here? There's a good chance I'm not going to fight that. You know what? There's a good chance I am going to fight that. Forget that. We're going to fight that. Don't worry. Don't worry. For the sake of the video. Now, what happens when people die? Well, they don't instantly die when they hit 0 HP. They can kind of fight through death as well as they possibly can. But sometimes they eventually do die. Those characters will remain in the cemetery, and you can bring them back to life. Which is actually a pretty great feature, but it does take some holy water, which is very rare, aka / a cash shop feature as well. So for the most part, you just want to be very cautious here. You always want to edge on the side of caution. So if you feel like you're not going to be able to complete a run, just escape, leave, come back when you're stronger, come back when you have a better squad, come back when there's better RNG on your side, etc., etc., etc. Because what you're trying to do here is that you can still gain strength, right? Even though all of my top units are kind of in the end right now, resting, I'm still applying skill books to those characters. So as you're going through this dungeon here, what you're going to be finding are going to be skill books for certain classes. So you're going to find, skill books for demon hunters, musketeers, lancers, all that stuff. You're going to find skill books for them. You can apply those skill books on what you would consider your main squad to continue building their strength and making them stronger and stronger and stronger, which will allow you to go deeper and deeper inside the dungeon. So you're going to be using a lot of fodder teams in the meantime to get more and more skill books to power up your main team, so you can go deeper and deeper inside the dungeons. So that's kind of the reason why you don't want to get too close to your fodder teams, because you're not going to be really investing in them too heavily, and you really can't afford to do that because the resources are so limited. You can't just give everyone skill books. Like, it's not going to be a thing that you're going to be able to maintain properly. So let's go ahead and do some heals there. AoE stab. I love Lancers. They're so good. And this guy is super annoying. Lucky it didn't work that time. Down you go. So I'm not feeling very good about this boss encounter. Not gonna lie. I do have some cheese on me. I got 1 piece of cheese. Oh, I got some more equipment. That's good. I got 1 piece of cheese here. Freaking A. I guess I'll give you some cheese. What is this, like some rotted steak? Let's use some of this rotten steak here. So you can buy some of this stuff from the shop before you jump into the dungeon. But once again, you have limited inventory slots. So the more things that you bring from the shop in town, the less loot you can bring back from the dungeon. This game is all about like risk and reward. That's what this game, this whole genre of the Darkest Dungeon clones, it's all about risk versus reward. Now, this right here is a massive risk. Fighting this encounter right here is a massive risk. I don't know why I'm here, all right? But we're gonna do it. Let's try it. All right. Wow, that was a pretty good attack right there. This character right over here is kind of interesting. Basically, I can drag the person in the back up front. And what it kind of does is it kind of screws their turnover a little bit because it makes them all have to move around, which can be good sometimes. It just really depends. Ouchie, what does this one do again? Ooh, a nice shield, all right. Go for a shield. And then let's try our best to kind of DPS through this a little bit. Because like I said, this is not my main team. I don't really have a lot of power. I think this is a bad idea, FG. I think so too. You hear the music? The music's all hype. Like I said though, for a knockoff clone, right? It was a pretty good clonage. And the fact that this game was, you know, faithfully updated throughout the year as well was pretty good on the developers on that one, I think. I don't think that, you know, not every game now, it's really going to depend on which game we're talking about. Like, I'm totally fine with this game kind of ending, having like an end point, because this game was never meant to go on forever and forever. It was always meant to kind of end. So I'm totally fine with this game saying, hey, we're done with this one, we're moving on to the sequel. I don't know if other like let's say hero collectors and stuff like that can do something like that. But I think that's something that some games should try to think about. Because like I said, there's not going to be enough time to play every single game as a service going forward. Like, there's just so many of them. So having a game that has a set ending that actually ends might not be a bad idea. I don't know. I'm thinking about it out loud as I'm losing this fight. I'm losing like hardcore. I'm actually going to keep you. Why are we stunned? This is not good. This is not good. As you guys can see, my paladin here should have died. He's on death's door. He's dead now. You think I can escape? Let's try. Come on! All right, we're out of here. We're out. We are out of here, ladies and gentlemen. We got a little bit of gold, but nothing worth going into that dungeon like that. So that was kind of womp womp womp. But now I'm back in town. Like I said, now if I really cared about some of those units that I was just using, she's already in the inn. I would say like you, since you're green, I would throw you back in there. But all these gray ones, I don't really care about y'all. Y'all are just gonna have to die or go somewhere else. But now, as you guys can see in the mercenary post, I have some pretty good recruits in here. I'm actually gonna grab you. I want to grab you too. All right, so check this out. New team, who dis? Let's go ahead and grab some equipment off of you guys. We're gonna go back inside the Darkest Dungeon. Get rid of all the gear that you guys have. I do like the fact that no matter where they are, you can unequip them pretty easily. All right, so you're gonna be our main tank now. So once again, this is level 2 gray. No one I really care about. I have my brand new alchemist here. I have a healer here. I need a little bit more DPS though. You know what? We're gonna go ahead and bring an assassin. They're kind of awkward to use though. All right, so let's go back inside the dungeon here. Dare I go to a level 3 dungeon with a level 1 squad? Probably a bad idea. Let's just go into Zone Lab 2. We'll go ahead and bring our tank, assassin. I think you guys have to do that. I don't remember. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out if they're gonna be in range properly or not. All right. Should be good there. You're kind of in range. I think I'm gonna have to move you guys. I love the Alchemist. The AoE damage to both front units. Damage over time as well. Very, very nice. This is gonna be a much better run. Can I move you guys around? We're gonna have our assassin as our tank. Easy. All right. Oh, he has counter. How good is that counter, though? Let's see. So I have him up front. He has counter activated. Not that great. He's already been hit twice. Didn't counter. And look at this. I got nothing. And this is sometimes where you get a unit out of the mercenary post that just doesn't have good RNG for which skills that they have activated. Now, if I have skill books, I can eventually activate these abilities. But when you recruit them, they have an RNG set of skills here. And right now, he's useless. He's literally useless. I have to just pass his turn. Ah, RNG, RNG. All right. Down you go. But that will do it, I think, here, ladies and gentlemen. Whose skill book is that? Some Musketeer skill books. The Musketeers are so good. I'm not going to eat any of this freaking rotten corpse off the ground. Like, come on. 35% anti-trap. Why do I have an assassin? Of course, of course. Why did I bring an assassin with me? There's some cheese right there. Some more skill books, some apples. All right, we're done. Once again, my name is FG3000. This has been a look at Dungeon Survival Part 1. I'll definitely be back once Part 2 is released on Android, or maybe I'll be here when Darkest Dungeon Part 2 comes on Android, or Part 1. I'll review that too, if that ever happens. But like I said, you iOS users, you guys are very lucky because you can play the OG Darkest Dungeon, which is definitely, you definitely want to support the originators of whichever game that you're playing. But, Darkest Dungeon never gave us that choice for us Android users. This is all we got. This is it. Is the video done, FG? A little bit. Almost. Wait a minute. Let's see something. Let's go fight a boss. I feel like, after losing to that one boss, I had to run away. Didn't make me feel good, What are you guys doing? Take these chests first. Let's walk over here. It's just like a regular boss, but there's a nice chest behind him. I wonder if there's anything behind you guys. A little small chest. We'll go ahead and do it. We will go ahead and knock it out. That AoE is so strong. Much easier run, as you guys can see, when you actually, when you actually run a stage that's appropriate to your team level, the things go a little bit better. Skip that turn as well. Just gonna keep healing here. All right. What is that? A boomerang shield, huh? Okay. I'll worry about that later. All right, let's go get this hot red chest over here. Nobody eat the rotting flesh on the ground, thank you. We're gonna go ahead and use this ability right here. Now this ability right here, everything about it is different in a game like this. Basically, he loses a bunch of HP and makes his attack a lot stronger, which we see this type of move in so many different games. But in a game like this, where every HP counts, and the fact that you have to replenish HP mostly in town, this is like, it really feels like this is a death wish. Now, you can kind of offset it if you have a healer. But I like the fact that I actually feel, come on. Actually feels like an ability that's death wishy. Skip that turn. Oh, wait a minute, I did that wrong. No! It's okay. We'll get you back up in the front line, don't worry. I'm trying to waste my death wish, man. What a good counter so far. This scumbag. Alright, your turn's the one I should be skipping. I still have the buff, please. Can I use it at least one time? Here we go! Look at that damage with Death Wish. So worth. So worth. This is a heal too, isn't it? Nope, that's more poison. Doo-doo-doo. Death Wish is already gone, but still pretty good. So Adventure succeeded. ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you don't actually go back to the city. Wait, get all your spoils, and then, ooh, dark cloud armor, huh? Wonder what that's all about. Then go back to the city. G to the G, ladies and gentlemen. So there you have it. This has been a look back at Dungeon Survival. Still the best Darkest Dungeon experience that we have on mobile, or on Android, I'm sorry. On Android, this is our best one. Looking forward to part 2 of both this version and, of course, the original source material. So until then, once again, my name is FG3000. I do thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.